Hello and welcome to the 25th episode of This Week in Mappercraft. Getting closer to being back on time. Last week was June 14th to the 20th, and we'll be covering the years of 2015, 2016, 2017, 2022, and 2025. As always, all information here can be found on the Mappercraft wiki, which is linked in the description along with the server itself. Let's get into the years. First up, in 2015, the server was running Earthworld 1, hosted by Monsoon Jr. In 2016, the server was running Earthworld 4, also by Monsoon Jr. In 2017, the server was running Earthworld 6, hosted by Xenodyne. In 2022, the server was running Earthworld Redux, hosted by Top. And finally, in 2025, last year, the server was running Brave New World Revisited, hosted by me, MintyMichael. And first up, we have only two events from June 14th to the 20th, 2015 during Earthworld 1. It's kind of slowing down here. First, on the 16th, the city of Syracuse expanded due to investment from the player Lolistan, as seen in the quote here. Next, on the 20th, the world was hit with another creeper reaping, which is when player and server data got accidentally wiped. This happened quite a few times during the first year or so of the server and was definitely an issue. According to the quote, this was the first time it had actually happened in months, and it left the game rules all messed up for a while before Monsoon came in and fixed it. But that marks the end for this week in 2015. Next up, we have four events from June 14th to the 20th, 2016 during Earthworld 4. First, on the 14th, Araga changed their government structure and style in response to the sieges on Vask last week. According to the quote, this was some sort of fascist state, probably related to a monarchy or something, but definitely sort of a weird period for the nation. Next, on the 17th, the Empire of Talon was formed out of the ruins of Rektistan. According to the quote, the nation was run by Freeze Pond, with most of the other Rektistan members joining Carposteer. The next day, on the 18th, Carposteer officially became Starmiglia, which would eventually be shortened to Starum. Here's the quote. And to close out the week, on the 20th, the outer walls of Livonis began construction. According to the quote, Batran was the primary architect, which is not surprising as he was the sort of main constructor of the city. But that marks the end of this week in 2016. Next up, we have four events from June 14th to the 20th, 2017 during Earthworld 6. First, on the 14th, the Summer Era began, ending the Start Era. This era was characterized by less aggressive activity and steadily increasing player counts over the summer. According to the quote, tensions did still exist, but they were just underneath the surface and they mostly remained sort of silent. Despite this lack of conflict, the server still saw double-digit player counts on a regular basis. Next up, on the 19th, the Tower of Crimea by FinMapper was completed. According to the quote, this was the 7th tallest skyscraper in the world and the 2nd tallest skyscraper in Araga at the time. Also on the 19th, Starozeld was implicated in treason and taken to court for crimes against the Pan-American Union. The primary issue was the independence of Malatia. King Sikorsky locked down the city and Staro willingly went into custody. According to the quote, Fayu was also included in the trial for repeated accounts of vandalism in Portola. Batran apparently observed the trial. Staro was placed under house arrest as the investigation into an attempted Meridian independence movement continued. Also included in the investigation was a player named Lieb, supposedly part of the independence movement. On the next day, the 20th, Staro was sentenced by President TMG based on the evidence provided. According to the quote, he was removed from the position of Secretary of the Interior and sentenced to 1 week of community service. It's unclear what the service actually was, but it does seem likely that he would have obeyed the ruling since he had willingly gone into trial yesterday. Anyway, that marks the end of this week for 2017. Next up, we have four events from June 14th to the 20th, 2022 during Earthworld Redux. First, on the 18th, the Bogsu-Kiwi War kicked off when Bogsu invaded the small nation. According to the quote, the fighting only lasted about an hour before a peace treaty was signed. Bogsu annexed the entirety of Kiwi, ending the war clearly in their favor. Also on the 18th, the Keretian monarchy was founded, a minorly relevant nation during Earthworld Redux. According to the quote, it was located near Antarctica, away from most of the other players and nations. Next, on the 20th, The fifth iteration round of the Clown Down PvP tournament, the traditional Mappercraft PvP tournament, was held on schedule. According to the quote, the first place winner was a player called AKX3 with Jidalamus and Made You Suffer, Top, the host, coming in second and third respectively. Shortly after the tournament concluded, though, the Bogsu Pacifica War kicked off. Although Bogsu intended to annex the nation of Pacifica, negotiations between the two began after a short PvP skirmish. According to the quote, the peace treaty stipulated that Pacifica would give 4 diamonds to Bogsu, a very limited loss. Ultimately, the war only lasted 8 minutes, one of the shortest conflicts in Mappercraft history. But that marks the end of this week in 2022. Next up, we have a ton of events from June 14th, 2025, last year during Brave New World Revisited. June 14th was a very eventful day of the server. To start off, the Bidenverse religion was founded as a pseudo-offshoot of Christianity. This was a very silly bit done by a widely disliked player. According to the quote, players SL4G and Fulguratia were unwillingly inducted into this religion. Next, the trial of Joel 1236 took place over his supposed actions last week. We actually have a video of this trial on this channel. I'll link it in the description and put it on the little eye icon in the corner if you want to check it out. It's a pretty good video. Anyway, the trial was held in the Ohlone capital, San Francisco, but soon collapsed as the audience grew unruly. According to the quote, Joel was eventually found guilty and fined 2 cobblestone blocks. Additionally, he was required to let Carrot is a God use his mob farm, a stipulation which was apparently eventually broken. Following this, a major Louisiana pirate trade deal was reached after Cuba cut all trade relations with Louisiana. According to the quote, a major economic powerhouse in Louisiana, ex-Donald J. Trump X, successfully siphoned the entire GDP of the nation to the pirates in exchange for notch apples. A dubious deal to be sure. Following this, supposed victory, the pirates moved ahead to instigate the Pirate Concordia incident, which began when the pirates threatened to invade the nation. The Concordians prevented this invasion by leasing out one of the 2 twin towers to the pirates. However, the president of the nation decided to take unilateral action and lit the twin towers on fire and attempted to disband the Confederation before it had, quote, suffered the indignity of foreign occupation. However, it was determined by staff that the president did not have permission to do these things, so the damage was rolled back and he was banned accordingly, temporarily. The player, Jax36, took over the nation, abandoning the former capital of New Orleans, which was promptly looted and griefed. Later in the week, from June 15th to the 20th, 2025, several other things happened. First, on the 15th, the earldom of Saracon was abandoned in the face of the collapse of Louisiana and Concordia. According to the quote, the members migrated to Ohlone on the west coast. Next, on the 16th, Opriknik was raided heavily. According to the quote, the perpetrators were members of Cuba and the Pirates Cove, who stole massive amounts of resources, crippling the fledgling nation. Next, on the 19th, the Pueblo Resdan War kicked off when Little Heart Attack, the leader of Pueblo, declared war due to an insult from Joel. According to the quote, Carrot is a God volunteered against Resdan, and Pueblo won the war after setting up an ambush and destroying Joel's manor. While this was happening, the first Pueblo Pirates War kicked off as the Pirate Republic attempted to defend Resdan from assault. However, due to a small loophole in the war rules at the time, Little Heart Attack was able to stall them out and prevent them from interfering as he defeated Resdan. Thus, a white peace was negotiated after Resdan capitulated. According to the quote, this led to a small adjustment with how the war rules were implemented regarding nations with a single settlement, which Pueblo was. Specifically, single settlement nations would automatically have that settlement listed as their capitulation settlement, thus removing the 24-hour grace period for the defender where they could avoid listing cap settlements. This was the loophole that Little Heart Attack used to avoid continuing the first Pueblo Pirates War while he continued to fight the Resdan War. Later, this sort of implementation would be adjusted to include a minimum 1-hour grace period regardless. So to, as avoid the sort of hyper-fast blitz wars, which tend to make things difficult for staff and players. Anyway, that marks the end for 2025, and this marks the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and check out the server at the link in the description. As always, if you have any additional information about any of these events, leave a comment down below or go ahead and add it to the Mappercraft wiki. See you soon for June 21st to the 27th.